What's up, guys? Taryn again, here with the basics for the 7.2.5 basics, talking about gearing. We will eventually get to combat. Right now we're talking about gearing, because this stuff's kind of important. The 7.2.5 has released a bunch of stuff involving tiered. So we got our new tier, the Diabolic Remnant. I currently have 2 pieces. I actually have 3 pieces, but I can't wear the third. So, what has happened? Tier 19 has had the Agony bonus chance dropped to 1.1 times the normal chance instead of 1.15. This is to make it approximately equal to our new Tier 20 set bonuses. So, the 2 set, Corruption has a chance to generate a Soul Shard whenever it deals damage. This is an RPPM chance. This only affects... This doesn't change with more corruptions out, period. You can have 20 corruptions out, you can have 1 corruption out. You will get the exact same amount of shards. The shard increase is approximately 10%. It's approximately, it basically is approximately equal to this. It's a 1 point, it's like a 0.65% shot proc, or RPPM chance. And in all the logs I have seen, I will get about 40 shards from Agony, and I will get like 4 shards from this. So it's not huge. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be a big deal. It's not a big deal. It is approximately equal to the 4 set that we used to have. The other thing that we have, spending a soul shard has a 25% chance to grant you 15% haste for 8 seconds. That is so much haste. That is 50% more shards. That is a lot of stuff. That corruption chance is based on your haste as well. You get bonus based on your haste. Keep that in mind. The RPPM does go up with more haste. So, our 4 pieces really strong. Which pieces should you be getting? My personal recommendations. Keep in mind, some people might not like this idea. I am recommending shoulders. I am recommending pants. And I'm recommending the helm plus 1 other piece that gives you the best item level increase. The back, the chest, and the hands all have versatility. So we're trying to avoid those. We only want 1 of those. Okay? So you want to get the one that gives you the least shit stats, basically. The reason why a lot of people don't like that I'm recommending the helm is because that means we're not using our super awesome helm, legendary helm. So, kind of leads us right into legendaries. Legendaries have been extremely balanced in 7.2.5 single target. There is a big sim list on the Lock One Stop Shop. Go check it out. It's fucking awesome. And if you take all of your legendaries and you make them into various different combinations, I'm sure we missed a couple of combinations, but on that list, they are all within the top and the bottom of that list are within 5% of each other. What does that mean? It doesn't matter what orange text you have, but that you are wearing them. It means also that you need to be wearing the legendaries that give you the highest stat increases overall. Okay? You are not going for the helm because of the Agony increase. It's nice, it's handy, but it is not the end-all be-all. Okay? So, we'll talk about some legendaries. None of them have changed. We got 2 new legendaries. We got the Soul of the Netherlord. It gives us Death's Embrace, which is pretty fucking good. And we got this Master Harvester. Every time we use a Soul Shard, we have a 9% chance to proc Soul Harvest for 8 seconds. So, this is, in my opinion, it sims highest. But in my personal opinion, it is trash for progress. Okay? The reason why. It is an extremely low % chance, which means it's very swingy. Your damage will swing a lot. If you're running something really fucking stupid, which I see a lot of people do, which is something like this. Ignore my weak words. If you're running something really stupid like this with Master of Harvester, you are going to have very swingy damage. Your damage is going to go up and down all over the place, right? You'll have one pull where you'll probably pull 1.5 to 2 mil sustained for like 5 to 10 seconds, or for the first like 30 seconds of the fight, 40 seconds, and you have another pull where you'll be lucky to hit 1 mil. So keep that in mind. The new ring, though, is fucking incredible. The new ring gives us Death's Embrace, which means you can run one of these two with that. Cool. It's really, really good for progress. Incredibly good for progress. So, other legendaries that stand out a lot. Obviously, you have the Helm. The Helm competes with all of our other tier. It means that you've got to get more shitty tier pieces. That's what it means. If you run the Helm, it means you have to have more verse. That's the biggest thing with it. Cool. Prydaz. Prydaz is probably one of our best legendaries right now. It gives us incredibly strong stats. Gives us 1 mil extra hit points, which is really strong. And a socket, which gives us more stats. It's really good. I run Prydaz. Okay, this one, garbage. Don't run it. Reap and Sow. Reap and Sow is a good option if you're not running the cape, because again, you got no versatility now. You're dropping your versatility. It is strong on fights that don't give us the bonus souls. So Demonic Inquisition is a good example, and for any of the single targets. Sisters, it's actually really strong on because it gives us all that extra. Gives us a lot of extra reap time every time Moontalon dies. It's a soul, which actually doesn't cap us on that. So Stratton's really strong on multi-target now. There's another multi-target sim set that's out there, and Stratton's is up there. Stratton's in the belt is the top on that. Multi-target legendaries are a bit wider in gap. It's about 10-11%. So Master of Harvester, again, I talked about that. I don't like it personally. I think it's not a good legendary. It's too RNG. Power Chord of Lathendris, currently our top legendary. There's some logic to that. And it is a very good option if you've got really good neck, really good ring, and, shitty belt. That's kind of what it comes down to. These pants are good stat sticks and good utility. Otherwise, The boots, again, really good stats and incredibly good mobility. This helps a lot on a lot of fights. There's a lot of burst movement on a lot of fights, which lets you keep doing damage. You can keep training. You can keep up your Malefic Grasp. This lets you do Malefic Grasp in places where you couldn't otherwise. There may be some logic to allowing you to do Malefic Grasp on Sisters with this. Sacrolash. We're actually seeing a lot of Sacrolash because there's a lot of fights where slowing ads is beneficial. So keep that in mind when picking out your legendaries on a fight-by-fight basis. These stats are also pretty good. It's a lot of mastery on that, a lot of crit. Sifu's. I personally run Sifu's. It's a monstrous stat stick, and it's a good option when your rings are shit, right? It's got good haste. And, it bumps my crit up to like 30%, which is kind of cool because I run Perdition Relics. Soul of the Netherlord, in my opinion, is going to be the best progress ring. It will be the best ring to run on progress because it gives you bonus damage when you need it most at the end of the fight. And then Kil'jaedom's Burning Wish is the bad one. It's really bad. Really, really bad. So, there's your legendaries, my thoughts on legendaries. If I were to pick 3 to 4 that you would probably want to be running, Prydaz is my number 1. My number 2 is going to be Soul of the Netherlord. Number 3 is Sifu's. And number 4 is probably the Belt. Okay? Any combo of those, just keep in mind that any combination of legendaries, as long as you are upgrading the items that you would be using, is really good. So those are the legendaries. Trinkets. Trinkets. Tomb of Sargeras has left us with this terrible issue that the trinkets fucking blow. Okay? As far as trinkets, your number 1 trinket is Unstable Arcano Crystal. Your number 2 trinket is Whispers in the Dark. It sucks. It's a hard life right now. Charm of the Rising Tide has some potential if you're able to not move for the 20 seconds. Or for the 20 seconds, and you're able to just tunnel. Not a lot of fights you can do that right now. Okay? Even after that point, it's 6,000 haste for 10 seconds, and averages about 3,000 haste for the first 30 seconds. So it's about, what is that? About 4,500, 5,000 haste over the duration. Okay? It's not that good when you get this, you know? It is a 1.3 second cooldown, which means it does not line up with Soul Harvest. Kind of blows. You can line it up with every other Phantom Singularity. If you delay Phantom Singularity by about 4 to 5 seconds each time. Kind of nice. What this does to Phantom Singularity is it actually crunches it down. Haste procs crunch Phantom Singularity the same way that it does with UA. You do not get bonus ticks of Phantom Singularity. You get a reduced duration and a reduced period of the dot. So keep that in mind. Special Fumble is Potato. I'll get to that last. Terror from the Below is Potato. Tome of Unrivaling Sanity. This is actually not bad. It gives you a pretty nice shadow dot, which is buffed by a lot of our stuff. So a lot of our things that buff shadow damage affect this. Kind of nice. But on top of that, you get a crit buff for 12 seconds afterwards. And it's a 1 minute cooldown, which means you're using it a lot. You line it up with every other Soul Harvest. Problem is, crit just kind of sucks for us now. This 3,000 crit is about 7% crit, which isn't bad, but crit is just not as good. So the last thing is this Tarnished Sentinel Medallion. This is the best trinket that you can get, mostly in Tomb. The Tome is second, shortly behind it, but again, in my situation, I have an 875 Arcano and a 905 Whispers. Tarnished Sentinel Medallion, I have to get a 930 or higher for it. The Balharist of upgrades, right? I mean, it's so bad. The trinket situation right now sucks. They just, you know, it's stuff like this Spectral Thimble. I can't. There's no situation where this could be good without changing the stats and stuff. So trinkets suck. So your options right now are Farm Wither Jim. He just came out for the second or third week in a row. We had Wither Jim. Go see Wither Jim if you're watching this on the week of July 4th. And Farm Gul'dan. And trust in your coins to get the proc. Enchants and consumables. Last kind of little tidbit. I personally recommend just sticking with Mastery Enchants. Reason why. If you run Pawn, typically you're supposed to run your stat weights and figure out, okay, what's my highest secondary stat? That's what I dump all my shit into. The problem with that is that jumps around a lot with the way our gear works now. So I personally recommend just run Mastery on everything. I have Haste here because I use this on my other 2 specs, and I have had to run Destro recently. And Mastery sucks for Destro, and it's not bad for AF. You should be running Mastery for this, Intel, and Trained Soldier is what I typically run. Mark of the Claw has some potential. It procs a lot, so it's not so much of an RNG issue, but, you know, keep that in mind. As far as consumables, just run the Group Feast. We are getting close to the point where Nightborn will become better. Basically, if your... if your secondary stats are like if you have a secondary stat that's at a 1.4 normalized value, that's when you want to be using those. Okay. So consumables, pretty easy. Just go ahead and get mastery enchants on everything and run the group feast food until, probably at the end of the tier. So as far as rotational changes, there's no real changes really with any of our gear sets. I wouldn't worry about that too much. The tier 20 doesn't change anything. You'll get the haste proc occasionally. You probably don't want to try and reproc that haste, but it happens so, like, the spec is so spammy. You don't really, nothing really changes all that much. You're going to kind of go about your standard rotation, and if you get a haste proc, you get a haste proc. If it procs again, that sucks. But, just go about your business. So, I think that's everything that we need to talk about with gear. And tune in next. We should be talking about rotation. Thanks.